Hello folks, and welcome back to the meadow. It's been quite a while, but I've been really busy and I got a lot of stuff done that I want to show you. It's kind of a cold January day, a little gloomy, but the weather hasn't been super cold, in the 40s and 50s. But you see, we've gotten some rain and the creek is up here, so we're going to kind of take the same walk that I took when I first bought the property. It's about 16 months ago. So as you can see, I have cleared all the way down through there by the creek. I'm going to make a beautiful garden there eventually. And we have some surprises that will help us get all this stuff done that I'll show you when we get up to the property. But right now we're on the far east end of the property. And they have an erosion culvert here, which is a great idea. And that's where most of the ditch water is. But you can see I took all the trees out where the old house used to be. I left that tree in because it's covered in grapevines that I want to try to propagate and put on the north fence line in May. So we haven't cut that tree down, but we knocked all the other ones down. We had a track hoe for 8 days and we got a lot of stuff done. You can see the flooding. See that pond over there? That used to, it's almost where I have the one drawn on the map. But once I get everything graded, won't flood nearly as much. A lot of this was caused by the culvert in the old road. As you can see, I have removed it, and the ditches run shallower. And the water doesn't flood into my fields as fast. Now all that fill material there, I was going to use it up on the greenhouse well house, but when I went in there and knocked those trees down, there's some big sinkholes in there, and part of it's the structure from the old house. So there's a lot of work to be done in there. I'll have to get the track hoe again. But we've got all that removed. There was a rumor at the local store that I was trapped because the floodwaters had taken out my driveway. Nobody had noticed that I'd taken it out over a month ago. You see, I got a lot of stuff cut down and get ready for chippers. And that's kind of my plan now. I basically lay all that stuff down nicely and just back the chipper up to it. And then I now have some more help to do all that stuff. See, here the water constantly used to run over because it wouldn't go through the culvert. And now it does flood over into there. But as I get this graded, we can get it like it is up there by that pole to where it doesn't flood hardly at all. And we also have the old railroad that we want to take out on the back side of the property. We've come to a price with the neighbor on that property. Just got to get the house built first. So anyways, you can see I removed some brush. Rush hour in Oregon. Anyways, I'm getting better and better at it. I got a really great deal on a chainsaw. The steel chainsaw I had broke, and I took it back to Jerry's, and they had this big 20-inch Husqvarna farmhand that somebody had ordered and then didn't want, and they were stuck with it. So they traded off. It was about 50% more saw, and it cost 4 cents, and the guy took the money out of the penny jar in front of the cash register. It didn't cost me anything, and it's a fabulous saw. But the trick of it is, you got to go in, as you can see, and you got to mow down these small berry bushes and things so you can get at the bigger trees. It's a good example right here. This is all ready to go because I got the small stuff down. But you just can't, that small stuff, you can't do that with a chainsaw. You kill yourself. It's just too much work. The majority of this is small stuff. You can see I'm starting to figure out how to weave through it. And now you can see the work that we got done. We have all of our building permits. electrical, sewage, driveway, structure, roof, even the kitchen hood. Everything's approved. So it worked out pretty good because most of the delays were on their part. They did not have accurate floodplain information, and they did not have accurate sewage tie information. That's basically put it at that. And once we were assured that those were good, then I drilled a well, and we'll show you part of that video. And you see I have an address. It took 15 months to get an address. And they were really pretty good. I mean, they understood there were confusions, but it's so nice to have a driveway with rock, no more mud, no more chipping bark, and I would manage to keep the apple tree. We brought in 300 ton of rock, 200 ton of 3-inch on the bottom. You can kind of see over here where it's, and then for now we only put 100 ton of 6-inch on top because we want to let this settle. We're waiting for the groundwater to come up, not to settle, because that's when you get the sinkholes. I learned that the hard way last year when I lost my truck right over there. It took almost a day to get it out, and a huge F-350 Ford on the run to jerk it out because it was so gone. But anyways, we have 2 new additions to the project. Meet Frank, the white Chevy, and Larry, the little Kubota. This little Kubota's done mowing from my neighbor on the property, and I've rented it before, but he wanted to sell it, so I got a really good deal on it. I made a little box scraper for it. It's got a mower, and that's the key now. That little brush hog is so small that I can get in and out of these places where the raspberries are so nasty that you just can't get at the big trees. And it may take me another couple of years, but I'll eventually get it all cut. But what I like is I can cut that big stuff, chip it, and then our plan is to bring it over here and fill all this in. So I would like, this level here is the same level as the road over there. And this is another battle we won because they said I couldn't tie into the sewer, and I said I could, and took the state of Oregon to agree with me to let them do it. But, and they charged me outrageous engineering costs and outrageous, unbelievable 6-inch schedule, 6-inch C900 plastic. You can see it there. It's ridiculous. That would be for like a skyscraper, and I have a 1-bedroom house. But whatever, it was still cheaper than to maintaining and having a leach field. And it was nice that I actually was able to convince them that the sewage tie-in was my right, and there was nothing they could do to stop me. So they're learning that they need to give up trying to stop me because I do my homework. But anyways, we have the sewage line in, we have the driveway in, we have the new culvert in, we have the old culvert out. That pole right there is for the electrical, and that's been about 3 weeks, and I haven't gotten a bid from them, but they say it takes a while, so I'm not in a hurry. And over here, where the little blue thing is, the well. After we were assured that we could tie into the sewer, and the engineers had designed it, and the county had approved it, and I saved money all summer on the well, and I told them we had dug a bore with the machine that the neighbor made, and the water's only down 55 feet, and there's a lot of water, and so it only took them like 3 hours to drill the well. It took longer to put the casing in than it did take to drill the well. But it's very successful. We had a professional come over and test it 5 gallons a minute for 6 hours, and only an hour recovery. So it's only 30 feet. It never moved from 30 feet. in 6 hours, which is unbelievable. And I did a saturation calculation with the sand that's down there, this is full of, and there's about 6 million gallons of water under my 4 acres. And that doesn't count what's under the county and all of this stuff here. So there's plenty of water here. But I'll still use drip irrigation on everything. You see, I've got all my drip hoses that I used in my garden last year laid out and getting ready for the garden this year. This will all be gardened. But I got to chip up a bunch of bark to get this clay, and I got to adjust the pH and put in a dripper and fabric. But I found all the places to buy everything I need, which is great. So anyways, we have completed our water system. The rainwater comes down and automatically gets pumped into the green tank, and the green tank now is tied into the pump inside the trailer. So every time I open a faucet, because I used to have to pump it from the green tank into the tank that was inside the camper. Now that's all directed, it's insulated, it works fabulous. I didn't want to spend money on anything until I got all my permits, and I couldn't get all my permits until I drilled a well. And I couldn't drill a well until I knew that they would let me tie into the sewer, because they wouldn't let me build a septic system, even though I had designed one that would have worked just fine. But they had a lot of people around here that designed a lot of bad ones, and it really screwed up the groundwater back in the early 80s. So now they're all gun shy. So, but anyways, my system is now automated, goes into the wastewater, goes through the digester. It's got about 100 days of retention time, so it's completely digested and disinfected. Then it goes into the aeration tank, and there's a level switch on that pump, and it gets pumped to the county. So water system's completely automated. The electrical system, I would love to get tied in to the grid. This is almost all hydropower, so it's pretty renewable. But get solar. I just got lots of stuff to do. But the key was getting all the permits. And the county wasn't that bad. A lot of it was just things that should have been taken care of years ago that people didn't understand. So, but we figured it all out. So, but Larry runs real good. With the mower on him, he does really good. And there's Betsy and Beulah. Betsy just didn't start one day, and smoke started coming out from under the hood. So I went inside, thought about it for a couple hours, and jumped on my motorcycle, Belinda, and went down to Eugene and went to a couple car lots. And I didn't want a extended cab, club cab. I just wanted a simple pickup, but one that would really tow. And this thing here has got a 6-liter Vortex engine, 300 horse. I towed that track hoe with it, 13,000 pounds, and you could barely feel it back there. There's an unbelievable amount of power in this thing. So, and that all took place like within a 4-hour period, buying this, deciding, getting on my bike, going to a few lots. They did business with my credit union. My credit union has records of my income because they're all automatic deposits. So, you know, I left here at about 11 and I was back by 3. Pretty cool. Sometimes things are meant to be. You know, Frankie's doesn't do good on gas, but kind of limits my daily. I go to town every other day now, so. But anyways, yeah, we got gardens to build. We have bulbs that start. You can see where the bark is there, and they go all the way down to that telephone box. There's 900 bulbs. There's 450 daffodils in the first 2 rows, and they're coming up. Oh my God, I didn't even realize that. Oh, we'll walk through the mud to look at daffodils any day. One of my favorite flowers. Oh wow, they're pounded up. So you got daffodils all the way down through here. These are last year's. And so we have this one all the way down to there. But anyways, in the apple tree, we will get some topsoil and put a beautiful annual bed around that. So things are looking up at the meadow. Solar panels performed as good as it can in the winter. A lot of wind power. I ran a couple days on wind, so that was pretty cool. So, well, I've chattered on long enough. So, I hope anybody that watches this will subscribe. Or I learned a lot of lessons this year. My surveyor ripped me off. He waited 7 months and charged me a couple $1,000, and at the end of the day he sent me the neighbor's map and told me I could take measurements off that. So we turned him into the state, and now we got to go to the Attorney General. People, why do they think they can rip me off? And then we tried to learn about social media. We spent $1,000 on a consultant and $2,000 on a model, and about another $1,000 in expenses, and all that we should have spent on the well. But we believed in her, and she produced nothing but the fact that you basically, for YouTube and Patreon, you have to develop your own network. You have to do all the work. All they do is provide an avenue for the donations to come through. So if you just start a website and put a donate button on it, do the same thing. So I'm just going to do that with a PayPal or something eventually. But I found a great line of credit. I bought this land so cheap, and I put so much money into it, and it shows with the development that I'm just going to borrow money. So with the amount of money that they take out, or the amount of money that I'd have to pay in taxes from all these gifts or all that other, I don't want the confusion. So I don't have to borrow much, maybe 30 or 40,000. And then I want to borrow about 100 to build the nutrition oasis. And then you never know. But I don't really plan anything. I just get up every day and do what needs to be done. So, and today it was, let's make a video. So, but we had a lot of tremendous success, because right when I needed money for the extra money for the permits and extra money for the well, I settled my case with the Canadian government. I worked in Canada for 5 years, and they said I couldn't get benefits. And I said, well, then just give me back the money that I put into the system. And it took 3 years, and they paid me all the back money. And so I had all that money and was able to get a nice loan. So I have money in the bank, and just kind of sitting around. I want to let all this settle. I want the groundwater to come up so that pad, if there's any sinkholes or anywhere the higher groundwater can affect that pad, then I want to see it before I start building on it. So we got to wait until probably middle of May before we can start building. But that'll give me plenty of time to save money. So, and I got to do the clean outs on the sewer line. The sewer line's funny because where I had to tie in is across the ditch. And they wanted 92% compaction on the engineering. The engineering was a joke. Nobody looked at the drawings. The inspectors, 2 inspectors, all the guys that bid on it, all the guys that built it, worked on it for 2 days. Nobody ever looked at the drawings. I'm the only one that ever looked at these $2,700 drawings. But you can see this hole right here. And there's one on the other side. And that's completely full of gravel all the way through there. They made me buy 20 ton of gravel to fill this. But what I did is, as the sewer line goes all the way down, I dug it down almost 4 to 5 feet all the way and completely filled it. I put another 30 ton of gravel. So it has 50 ton of gravel in it. But what that does, it reaches down into that red clay layer that's very permeable for some reason, because I had a rainstorm when I was digging it, and I had holes on this end and this end, but this one was down to the red clay and that one was still in the gray clay. That one I had to put a sump pump in to drain it enough to keep digging on it. This one here never filled with water, so that clay is very permeable. So I basically created a recharge for the well off both of the ditches. So as the water comes down these ditches, a lot of water comes down that ditch over there. It just recharges the ground and fills the ground up with water for my wells. So I plan to drill more wells. I found a guy that's very reasonable, but we're really pretty much only going to develop this part of the property for now. We'll clear a little brush because we need some chips for here. And we have a lot of time to do it. So anyway, that's a pretty sight. I got a new white tarp because the other one leaked and I had some problems inside the camper. But we just jumped on it and got it fixed. So that's a pretty picture. But anyways, folks, y'all take care. And I'll start making more videos as things come up. But we're basically just in austerity mode, saving money to hopefully start putting the house up in May. So y'all take care. Bye-bye.